See?
Got it.
Got it.
So anyways, yeah, now we're recording. So Jared is sending one over, so we'll go through whatever housekeeping we have right now, and then with Jared, we only have 8 images tonight, so there's no real rush through them, and we can take our time a little bit. It also means it probably won't be a real late night, which is kind of nice too. So let's see here. All right, so as far as housekeeping is concerned, next thing on the calendar is a week from tonight. That's right, a week from tonight is drop off for the winter show. That is at RPAC from, we'll call it just after 5 o'clock, because we'll be there hanging the show. So, but try and get everything in by 8 if you can. And if you need to be a little bit later than that, that's fine. But let's call it 5 to 8. And I know that me and Jared, and I think Jacob had said he was going to help hang, but at the very least, me and Jared will be there. But and we'll have, you know, the forms for you guys to fill out like always. This show, since I never announced any sort of a hanging fee, there won't be one for this one. But going into next year, we really should start trying to get back to that, because those hanging fees usually got donated. So I'm trying to get back to those. And for new people who have never done these shows, when I say hanging fees, it used to be, and going forward at least, we always charged $15 per submission when you did one of these shows. Half of that went to where the show was hanging. So if it was at Riverstones, half of that went to them, just as a thank you for letting us use the wall. If it's at RPAC, then half of it goes to RPAC. The other half goes directly into the camera club and helps to pay for speakers and things like that. And for that wonderful space at RPAC, which is not free. So that's coming up. That's a week from tonight. A week from this Sunday will be the opening of the show, and that is also our potluck celebration. So that starts around 12:30, 1 o'clock. I think we'll start around 1, but you can show up whenever you want, really. And it runs until about 4. While we're there, the parade will be going by. So, you know, while everything is going on, we'll try and time like awards and stuff. So if anybody wants to step out to the sidewalk and watch the parade go by, you're welcome to do so. And we'll get an actual sign up list. Monique made an event on the members only page. So we'll get a sign up list going there for whatever potlucks. We don't have a lot of repeat stuff. Again, if you've never been to one of these before, we basically, you know, those little square tables that are in there, we line like 8 of them up, and we have a bunch of power cords and stuff. So if you want to bring something in a crock pot or whatever, all of that is great. So there's no limitations there. And yeah, and bring your family, bring friends who you think might want to, you know, be a part of the camera club. A friend of mine actually referred someone to me, and so I invited them here to this. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, shows like this are always open to the public. So if you want to bring anybody, by all means, definitely bring them. And then that's it for the year. That is it for 2021. At that point, we have made it. Oh, two more photos. Okay. So just looking at my calendar going forward. So I announced it at the meeting the other day. But just to make it official here as well, and we'll put out more of a notice on the members only page. But starting in January, we will no longer be meeting on Tuesdays. We're moving it to Wednesday. So, and no more Sundays either. So it'll be the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month that we have meetings. So the 2nd Wednesday in January, that is the 12th. The 2nd Wednesdays will always be at RPAC. And those are set aside for speakers or demonstrations or just something. We'll always have something planned for those nights. And we'll give you notice about it. So if you want to come in with questions and whatever. And then the 4th Wednesday of the month will always be our online Zoom critiques like this. So we'll continue on with our challenges, and we'll continue on doing critique over Zoom. The leadership team, I mean, I think it's pretty much unanimous, just agrees that this is the best way to do this, especially where we don't have to project onto a screen and you lose all the contrast and detail and stuff that way. At least this way you can see it on your computer screen. We have it up in Lightroom and we can mess around with things, and hopefully the critiquing you guys get some benefit out of that. So starting in January, the first meeting, like Lisa has been the last few years, is going to be speed learning, like we usually do. And the actual date for that is January 12th, will be speed learning. I can't remember if we actually have a challenge set up for January yet or chosen. Jared or Jacob or Scott, am I not remembering it, or we still need to come up with one?
I think we still need to come up with one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have a challenge for
The
January.
challenge? I thought we did make it square.
Oh. that's
Oh,
right.
okay, so yeah, square crop, essentially. So you can print from, this is the last meeting before January, so you can start working on that whenever you want. So yeah, the challenge for January is going to be make it square, and that's in regards to it being a square crop. So try and use, what you know about composition and stuff, and work it into a square composition.
It doesn't matter what it is.
No,
As long as it's
whatever you
square.
whatever you want to shoot, it's fine with us.
Okay.
It's January, so I don't necessarily want to be sending you out to find something and all of that, and it's not easy to shoot indoors either. So whatever you're comfortable with, go ahead and do that.
At least I think that's what we.
Well,
talked
we
about.
just announced it, Scott, so it is what it is now. Yeah, and then February's meeting, the second Wednesday, whatever date that is, it is, it'll be February 9th. I just actually just booked today, Mark Bolton, who is going to come in and give us a private talk about the New Hampshire Now project, which I'm not sure if you guys have been following along with what that is. So New Hampshire Now is a project that a number of the regional photographers were involved in, and they just sort of chronicled life in New Hampshire in order to make a book. So they made a picture book about it all, and so he's going to come in and tell us all about the project. He'll have some sample work. If he has any books left, they'll be available that night as well. I think if you look up, right now they're displaying work all over the state, and galleries all over the state are hosting New Hampshire Now galleries right now. So we're the first club who are going to get anybody to come in and talk about it. So that's pretty exciting. It helps that Mark lives right here in Rochester, but I'm pretty excited about having that. Pat Corlin submitted some images to that. She has some pictures in the book too. So that's another club connection there. So he'll be talking on February 9th. And I'm quite sure we don't have a challenge set for February yet. So that information will be coming down the line. Let's see. Before we started recording, I showed you guys these, but these are the awards for the winter show. They're right here. I don't know who's going to get them, but I hope we're talking to somebody here who gets them. And then these are this year's posters or postcards. So these will be at the show opening. So this year, Deb Boulanger has a card, Asina Navarro has a card, Peter Morse has a card, Tom Sorensen, and Scott Thorpe submitted one as well. So those will be available, and on the back it has the whole year-long schedule. So you'll grab one of these at the show opening, and you'll have it. We have about 500 of them, so take a stack, give them out to anybody who you think might want them. Leave them around in bakeries or wherever you go. And am I forgetting anything, guys?
Yes, the show pickup.
Pickup will always be the last day of the month, so January 31st, unless that's some sort of a weird day. Let me just take a look. The 31st is a Monday, so it'll be January 31st. Time to be determined, but I mean, I can pretty much be there at any time. And actually, as long as they're open, I don't even really need to be there. So,
December 31st.
but yeah, we need to get our stuff out so that the next show can go in for February. So it'll be the last day of the month.
Do you need titles for the photos that are going into the show ahead of time to put names
No,
on?
because I always have you fill out those forms. And then when I come home at night, I put together a master list just out of all the forms.
Okay.
So that's fine. Yep.
Okay, and what do you do with the master list?
The master list, I usually just keep one on hand, and then I give one to I'll give one to RPAC, and that way, because they don't want price tags up. So if you are selling your work, that'll have that information on there.
But as far as identifying the work that's hanging on the wall, if we're sending somebody down to take a look and they want to know where our pictures are, is there
Uh,
any form of identification so they can find them?
Yeah, I mean, at RPAC and at Riverstones, we'll have stickers on the wall with the work. So it'll say, here's a title by Carol. It just won't have a price tag on it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, and if you, I mean, RPAC would prefer that we all bring in bios as well. So I was able to finally locate the 3-ring binder with all the binders, all the bios in it. So I'll go through it, but if you don't remember when the last time was you did a bio, just bring one with you. And if you've never submitted to one of these shows, a bio is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Just a little bit about what it is a little bit about your background with photography, what you love about it, information about the piece that you have in the show. Just make it whatever you want it to be, really. A little bit about yourself so that when people are at the show, they can go through the bio book and actually learn a little bit about you. Contact information is great too on the bio. That way, if someone does actually want to buy something, they know how to contact you, because RPAC won't actually facilitate the sale. They're going to send whoever to you. If someone wants to buy your piece, they're going to send them to you. So have your contact information on there as well. I think that's it.
Sean.
Yes.
Just for correction, it's December 31st is pickup. Not
Yes,
January
December 31st. I apologize. I'll confirm that with RPAC. December 31st would be tough. It might actually be the 30th or maybe even January 1st. December 31st is going to be difficult. So I'll confirm with RPAC what's the easiest for them, and then I'll figure it out for that and let you guys know. We'll know when you drop off.
Refresh my memory. Is it 1 piece or 2 that we can submit?
You can do up to 2.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm gonna have anything I like enough to bother, honestly, but just in case, I wanted to know if it was 1 or 2.
Oh, you know what? I would say just do it.
Mhm.
I mean it, because even if it's something that you go, I'm not sure I like it. I mean, we are our own worst critics, right? So you may not be 100% sold on something, but if you put it out there, I've seen people win awards that they weren't 100% sold on.
No, it's not even about winning awards or not. It's just, I've never done this before, so I'm just a little trepidatious about it.
I hear you. Well, I mean, I'm available.
Somewhere. You have to start somewhere. So do this
No,
one.
I know.
And then you can stand back and you can see it. And then you say, this is what I need to change for next time.
It's true.
'Cause
Well,
if you don't, then next time will be your first time.
And remember too that your work isn't hanging up there by itself, right? So
I know that's on it. That's what worries me the most is
yeah, I mean,
seeing what some of the
don't
rest of you
say
have done.
we give out awards. It's really not that competitive though at all. It's really we try and put up a nice body of work, and it really is just a moment of for you and your family, whoever else you bring, just to see a little sense of accomplishment. And it's not about awards either. We give them out because they're fun to give out.
1 second.
So,
I'll talk myself through it.
well, if you need any help with like getting something ready and all that, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with that.
Yeah, that would be great. I wasn't able to make it to the last meeting with Jared's, framing expertise and all, so
I mean, push comes
I
to
might end up
shove.
bugging you.
If you have a print ready, go down to Michael's or wherever to get a frame. It doesn't have to be anything, like you don't have to spend $200 on this.
Oh, good, because I wasn't gonna.
Well, that's good. Well, I mean, but professional framing is expensive, so
Right.
you don't have to go that route. Some people do, most people don't. So, but we'd love to have this, get you, have you have something in it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Let's see here. So, I guess with that being said, there's still 2 more photos I have to download. So give me 1 moment here. It's that one. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about the switch to Wednesday. I think that's going to be really good. If anybody's wondering why we're doing that, it's because we have found over the last year or so that we have Like for instance, right now, we have members who are already logged in with the Seacoast Camera Club because they're having a competition night. But they also have stuff on our, in our critique night that they're missing now. So the point was to try and eliminate for both, for them and for anybody who might want to join both clubs, is just to eliminate the conflict, the scheduling conflict. Because I would love to go down and see what they're doing. I just never seem to be able to because they meet the same nights that we do. So, all right, just need to import those last two. And then we're going to just put them into a random order and go. November/harvest. And we're going to put them in file name order. There we go. All right, so let me share my screen. Oh, one other announcement I made at the other meeting, kind of forgot about here. So Asina Navarro has joined the leadership team as our kind of our communications person, in the hopes that we have one person who is completely dedicated just to communication, we don't run into the issues we've been running into this year going forward. So Asina's going to be.
What did I do now?
That's not a good sign. But yeah, it's just so you guys are aware, we are trying to remedy that. We recognize that it's an issue, so we're trying to remedy that. Asina very graciously volunteered her time to do a lot less, and then I offered her a lot more, and she still took it. So that's where we're at with that. So she's going to be, sometime after the show opening, her and I'll be getting together, and she's going to be handed all of the passwords. And I'm going to go, no, I'm joking. All right. Can y'all see that? Lightroom?
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and get started. Actually, Deb needs to go to the end here. There we go. All right. So first up, we have Carol Martin. What is
Taking a
everybody?
few weeks. I was taken a few weeks ago at Castle in the Clouds.
Okay. I recognize that actually.
You can feed the trout.
So what do we think?
I like it.
Why do you like it?
Well, I mean, you got some great colors in there. I like how, on the left side, you have the last, remnants of fall. And then as you move it to the left there, it's like, yeah, winter's coming. So, and then the reflections in the water are really nice too.
I like how the pier mimics the fence going horizontal, and then the trees in the reflection mimic themselves going vertical. So you have it, basically you have it going both ways.
Yeah, I think Jacob was saying essentially this as well, but I do like the empty trees in the foreground, and then the leaves and the color in the background. Obviously very late fall. It's got a good look to it.
Mm-hmm.
Carol, what do you
I
like
do.
about it?
It was just a really nice afternoon. We went on a nice hike, and when we came out here, it was nice and still. I mean, the water's a little bit ripply, but not too bad. And it just looked peaceful. There were no big crowds or anything. It was just really peaceful.
It's true. This spot is rarely peaceful.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think there was one person sitting there that I might have cropped out, or yeah, he's hidden someplace. I cloned him out.
Yeah, that's what I would have done with him too.
Yeah.
I bet he deserved it.
He was minding his own business, but he was in my way.
I like how you get like 3 different tiers. So you got the water, the grass, and the sky, all kind of like nice, and it's good. It's a good balance between everything. I think the only thing, if I could make one critique on, would be if you look at the dock, the dock is definitely clipping, so we're losing a lot
Yeah.
of detail in there. So I don't know if you had boosted your highlights, or maybe you should have just done like 1 or 2 stops, or gone 1 or 2 stops faster and tried to get a little bit more detail in that dock, because it's kind of the brightest thing in the image.
It is. I didn't notice that until I saw the clipping on here. It's like, ee.
I was gonna kind of say the same thing, and I do like that the dock is brighter, because
Right.
I feel like it leads you, it's the starting point to lead you through the picture, and she's got some nice leading lines and a nice S curve too, leading you up into the fence. But yeah, that the dock is like, I feel like I want to squint to look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
that's-
darken that up.
Yeah, if you did that, I think you're great, because you do want that, because I think that's where your eyes is where you want to focus, is on that dock. And I think you have great composition. It's just that tone that down a little bit. I think you really bring out a little bit more detail, or bring out more detail, definitely enhance the picture.
I'll do that and resubmit.
Christina, was that yours for tonight?
Yeah, I don't think my email was working, because I had sent other emails out and it didn't happen. So
That's all right. I got it.
thanks.
So, oh, whoops, sorry. Was there anything else for Carol? All right. All right, give me 1 second. I just have to import Christina's here. Okay. All right. There's Carol's again.
It'd be a really nice spot to do like a 4-season shot, Carol.
It would be.
You know, because of the tree, which
Yeah.
is, even though that pier leads you through the tree, I still feel like that tree is the center focus. And then you look at everything else, you know, I don't know, it's really nice. It'd be a really sweet spot.
It looks like you just had such a beautiful day. There's such a nice reflection. And I think that tree just over the bridge, it's too bad it wasn't full, but there's so many elements right there that just kind of capture your eye and you want to live in there.
Looks like a place Frederick would live.
Frederick might live there.
If anyone doesn't know who Frederick is, it's a frog.
He's a frog from a previous critique. He is a quasi-famous frog now.
Very.
So, all right. I do have a timer going. We're pretty much at 5 minutes. Does anybody have anything else for Carol tonight?
No, great job.
All right, nice work, Carol.
Carol.
You.
All right, next up, Jacob Murphy. What do we think?
Well, here's Jacob with another beautiful image.
I love the muted colors. It's nice.
The part that still blows my mind is that this is edited on a phone.
Mm-hmm.
But
Let's see here.
I don't know how he pulls it
Using
off.
mobile Lightroom or Photoshop?
Mobile Lightroom. The mobile Photoshop is absolutely junk. It's mostly just, you know, filters and things like that. So everything is just Lightroom mobile.
Where is this?
This is in Dummerston, Vermont. It's called Stickney Brook Falls. It's a really great spot. If you ever get the chance to visit it, it's off of Route 30, and it's a popular swimming hole. And well, from what my uncle says too, it's a popular fishing spot for like trout, I guess. And there's like it's like a multi-tiered fall. So this is one of the lower falls, and then as you look up, there's like 2 or 3 more. So a lot of opportunities for long exposure practice and waterfalls.
What's the name of it? Stickney Falls?
Stickney Brook Falls. Yeah.
It's in dumbass Vermont.
Yes. Yeah.
Where? Dumbass.
Dummerston.
Dummerston?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I agree about liking the muted colors, aside from the fact that just, aesthetically, it's a lovely photo with the way you've captured the water. I hike a lot, and while fall in New England is wonderful because of all the bright colors and stuff that you get, hiking in late September through early November before it starts to snow, a lot of it just looks like this up until you get to the point where there's views. And I really like how you did capture some sunlight up in the upper left-hand corner, showing it coming through the trees a little bit there, and reflected a little bit in the waterfall, but the rock wall behind it, and then sort of the darker already fallen leaves behind it. I think just you can feel the sense of the rushing of the water, and at the same time, it's a very peaceful, makes me feel very peaceful looking at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of want to just sit down on this big rock with a book and just sit and chill out for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of places to do that. Yeah, it's just a really peaceful place to go, and you hardly hear the Route 30, which is quite busy. I mean, you can hardly hear it over the waterfalls, which is nice.
You know what else I like?
Is it easy to get to?
Oh yeah, it's really easy. You just turn on to the entire road that it's on is dirt. So and it's maybe 50 feet off of the road. Pretty easy to find.
That should be pretty during the winter too.
Yes, I've shot here in the wintertime, and the water's still flowing, and it's equally as gorgeous.
I really like the man-made versus just natural structures going on here.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Like that wall is obviously man-made. I mean, it's 1 million years old, but it still blends in so well with the rocks and stuff. Oh, I thought that was like a mask up there. I was like, oh no. But no, I really like that juxtaposition as well. It's sort of very New England, very sort of like you run into this kind of thing out in the woods in New England. It's, where people have lived before.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you haven't ever checked out Champney Falls on Mount Shikorowa, probably takes a little more work to get out there, but I've shot the falls out there before. Pitcher Falls isn't really much to brag about. It's from really high up, but it's not like a very overwhelming waterfall. But the smaller falls themselves, Champney Falls, are a bit bigger than what you're showing here, and they're really fun to shoot.
Yeah, I took a hike up there. I think it was last year. I didn't even realize like how far it was, and then I got up to the falls and I saw the sign for the Mount Shikora summit, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I'm this far up. But the one shot that I really want to get is as you're looking at Champney Falls, like if you look down that to the left is that huge gorge. That's a bucket list shot that I need to get.
Yeah, well, better you than me. I don't ever want to hike Champney Falls again in my life, but I've done it 3 times. 3 times was enough. All seasons, don't need to do it again. But yeah, that would be a fantastic shot if you're able to get it safely.
All right. Well, the 5 minutes just came and went, so not much as far as critique is concerned for Jacob tonight. It's a very nice image. I'm not sure you could. I mean, I'm sure you could improve it, but I mean, it's very good.
Thanks.
All right. Anything else for Jacob before we move on to the next one? All right, great job, Jacob.
Thanks.
All right, next up, Mr. Vice President Jared Plant. Who, has been playing on the railroad tracks up in Crawford Notch.
Hmm.
I'm just off the railroad tracks.
This is legal. All right, so what do we think?
It's
I like this little
pretty.
bit of. Go ahead.
You had way more color than I had when I went. We had no color, but it was still pretty.
Jacob picked a nice overcast day. That's when you're gonna get this.
I like the perspective. The perspective is different. The leading line from the tracks, yeah.
Takes you right into the gorge.
So I know that this is a specific place and that this might actually end up being kind of sacrilege, but I bet I want to flip it. I want to.
I know you're gonna do it. You do it to all my pictures.
Well, so
Every one of them.
but I can't find a develop module. There it is. So
What are you doing? Oh,
Mm.
hey, why did it?
Now
Do
you're on the wrong side of the mountain.
well, right. I know it's a specific place. And for whatever reason, when I go into full screen, it doesn't keep it. But compositionally speaking, I think this works better.
Problem is, too
Yeah,
many people
it's-
know
it's
where it
like a-
is. It would be like reversing the old man in the mountain almost.
Yeah, but the old man in the mountain was just rocks. So, you know.
I
So
almost feel like you can
I
make
know
it
that this
square.
is, I know that you don't do this for an image like this because it's obviously a place where people can pinpoint where you are. But compositionally speaking, I like the way that you have this
Left to
little,
right goes.
well, yeah, you have the left to right, you have the nice sort of like pinch point out here, you know, vanishing point. But you also have this like bright little tree here that your eye starts there, then just follows the tracks up into the scene. You
That
know,
tree
and then
was
this
there.
bottom corner is really not all that interesting, so you don't ever get dragged back there. You just sort of stay up there. Once your eye gets up, you just stay there and find all the details.
I was
Whereas,
a little distracted by that little, like the yellow bush right up front. 'Cause I feel like it's right on the edge of the photo. Like I wanted to either crop in or give it more space on the edge.
I think it just needs to be toned down. I think it's a little hot for the image.
Yeah.
It's the hottest thing in the image.
Hmm.
I mean, usually Jared's the hottest thing in the image, but in this particular instance, I'm wondering, like, if we were to just take the highlights down from that tree,
Or even just put like a radial gradient onto that and just kind of dim it down.
are radial gradients still a thing now with Photoshop or what?
Yeah, click that.
Yep.
And radial.
Oh, there it is.
gradient.
So, and then I'm going to
Select the master color.
just take those down, just take the highlights down from there. And I might even boost the highlights a little bit away from it, like do that again and invert the selection, but
No, that bush is there intentionally. It was actually two shots because I couldn't get everything in focus with the bush because it was relatively close. So I took a shot and then blended the two in Photoshop.
But yeah, I agree with Asina. It can be, I think it's a bit distracting in the end. But it plays a balancing role as well from like the top of the frame to the bottom. No, it's a tough one. What does I don't know, what do you guys think about that bush? It's quite the question.
I'd almost say
I mean,
cross it right out. Make it square.
Make it
And
square.
I feel like it would also like make it lock the picture feel more distant. And put it all the way up to the top. Just get rid of anything you can at the bottom and maybe even bring it up a little. There you go. I feel like you got too much foreground in it, and then this feels more depth. Where you got too much depth, so like you don't know where to focus. Where this is more leading.
I like that better.
No, I agree. I like that better too.
You know, you just created a deep, like doing that dolly zoom that Hitchcock was famous for, you know? You use that effect or zooming in on a subject. You know, you get that massive depth in the picture.
I think cropping out the front brought out more of the sky and the mountains behind.
I agree. It brought the focus to the foliage and where you actually want it to be, you know? Because, oops.
But by doing that, I just keep looking at that square marker.
Yeah, the square
My
block.
eye.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, honestly, that's not that big of a deal in Photoshop. You could pretty easily just take that out.
Or just blend it, make it more.
Yeah, tone
fluid.
it down, sort of blend it in a little bit. That's easy to mask, you know, and it's sort of blend it in or just take it out completely.
What about doing it as almost a landscape? If you're cropping to a square, just taking a little more off the bottom,
Well, it'd be a lot more off the bottom at that point.
not
But-
to leave it as a square, to leave it as a rectangle.
Make
Oh,
it
you'd have to-
landscape
Landscape
instead of
zone.
portrait. Yeah.
Oops.
But I do like the length of it, the original crop. I like the length of the
That's kind of nice.
railroad track.
I agree. I feel like the longer track just feels like it's drawing
made
you
that-
in
That
a
made
little bit
that
more.
curve sharper too, just doing that right there. You
Yeah,
feel more
I
of an
like the
S
long.
curve now.
I kind of like the longer track and would just deal with that rock, to be honest. I think if you were to just,
Because now it goes 2/3 way through the image by like only going a certain way. Because then when you really cut it in half, now it's like two different portions. I like the longer track also.
so the issue here is how sort of bright and hot the top of this is. That's so easy to deal with, you know, if you wanted to deal with that. That I think it'd be worth having the better crop and just dealing with that one little issue, if that makes sense.
I'd rather remove that rock and leave it this way and crop it more.
Yeah, I agree. I would either remove it or even just, you could just sample these darker colors in here and just blend it in. Just take that, the hotness of this down. You don't have to take the rock out completely. You just have to deal with, you know, the brightness of the edges of this rock. And if you can just get it to blend in with the rest of the surroundings, it would just disappear anyways.
So yeah, I agree, that hot spot. Yeah.
It's literally 3 or 4 minutes in Photoshop and it's gone. You wouldn't even notice it's there anymore. Without using a clone tool or anything. Very easy.
I would
And if
also
anybody
get
has
rid of the
questions
rock
about that,
that's,
come to speed learning. I'll have my computer and I'll have a screen, like a monitor and all that set up. I'll show you how to do it. It's easy. But anyways, yeah, I think in my opinion, before I would crop it further than this, I mean, the balance of the image is really nice here. Although let's see, because that's the way we cropped it wasn't what Pat was actually saying. Oops. Right? Because Pat was talking about leaving
I
it
was talking
as
about it.
wide as it already is,
Yeah.
Unlock it. Yeah.
and then bringing this up to more of like that maybe, which is more of like a 8x12 crop almost.
But I still like the longer railroad tracks, the original one.
Oh, that's so cool. You can see the S curve through there.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, that's sharp.
I mean, you gotta
That'd be a
look
nice
close for it.
print.
You gotta look close for it, but it's there. Yeah, that's cool. I never set a timer for this.
I think we're at 5.
You tend talking about your own. Yeah, I don't know. I think I honestly just a crop, and I think either this or even what we had. I think either one works really well. It actually is one of those images that crops up nice into a 1-to-1. So
Thank you for
Alright.
that, guys.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else for Jared? All right, nice work, Jared. Move on to John Giesis, who I can't remember the last time or if he's ever actually put something into critique, but good for you, John. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw something in there.
I know you've been a member for a while, but I don't know if you've ever actually joined us for this. So this is exciting. I mean, you're like Rochester famous, you know that? I listened to
it's-
your
By my
podcast
calendars,
episode.
I don't think.
I
So
listened
this
to
is,
your Choosing Rochester episode. Oh yeah.
This is, the more I look at it, I cropped this quite a bit. I should have sent the original so you could take it from there, but it's a wide angle shot with my iPhone 13. And I sent it through Lightroom Mobile and actually used Snapseed a little bit too.
All right. So what do we think?
Well, unlike a lot of John's other images, it's on the ground.
It's true.
I love how the shadows are like, leading you into the scene.
I would have used more of the picture, but there was a couple of cars parked on the right over there, so
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to cut those out.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right to do that. And I think Jacob was the one who said that the lines, those shadows are casting, they just pull you right into the middle, right into that tree that brings you right up to that spot of light. And it's a huge starburst coming from that. And it's fantastic.
I love to use wide angle. But this one, like I said, I had to crop it quite a bit, so I'm sure the numbers aren't gonna be the best, but
I was just messing around to see if Lightroom would, because this tree looks like it's leaning in. Right. This is what you get
It
with
is though. I know that tree. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's
it just leans that way anyways.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, when it comes to like wide angles, you got to be careful about, just all of that distortion. And that's when you said you had shot it with a wide angle, I thought that's kind of what I was looking at, but Lightroom disagrees with me anyways. So
yeah, I'm looking at the tree. I'm looking at the original picture, and that tree is definitely leaning in. That's not a product of.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as let's see, I would probably try and bring the highlights down a touch. I mean, and this is all very subjective. So I mean, obviously you're doing what you like to do. You're kind of clipping on the horizon here. And of course the sun is going to be pretty clippy as well. I don't need to take it down much and that clipping goes away. I don't know if you're going to pick up any detail though, either way. So
Made the rays stand out a little more.
it does a little bit, yeah, because it darkens down. You see how like the sun becomes a little bit more pinpointed
Yeah.
as I drag it down.
Right.
And you can sort of mask that in. So affect only that particular point, and the rest of the frame doesn't have to change, right? So
And you can also play with like the color sliders too, to like take down your yellows, your oranges, your reds, at least the luminous part of that.
yeah. So if you're working in the luminance here, so in your HSL sliders, so luminance has to do with brightness. So you can bring down just the overall brightness of like red and orange.
Be careful of
bring
the
down the
yellow
red.
foliage there.
I would probably just bring down the orange slightly. That would be enough, I think. And it just adds a little bit of contrast and a little bit of depth,
Yeah, I like that.
but it doesn't require much. Anybody who's not familiar with what the HSL sliders in Lightroom does, so the H stands for hue, which let's just look at the oranges. If you slide it this way and that way, it's going to change what hue. So it'll actually change the color, go from orange to pink, all the way to greens. And so if you have kind of a color cast happening in your image, you can use these to kind of, work them out. Or if you want to do something stylistic to it, you can use these. Saturation is saturation. So you can go crazy with it or take it all the way down, whatever you want to do. But working in here, you have a lot of control. And then luminance is specifically dealing with lights versus darks, but within the color spheres, which is kind of fun. So, all of this, even though it looks like it's green, that's all going to be in your yellows. So you can actually bring that up while bringing the oranges down and just adding in that little bit of contrast. But this is pretty powerful stuff here. So if you don't know what these do, I do encourage you to play with them and see what, get used to using them a bit. They can be pretty handy. So I don't know if, what else, who else, Scott, what do you think? You're the professional here.
I like how the tree leans in. It's leaning right in towards the sun, but the tree in the center is straight. So the leaning tree doesn't really bother me.
No, it doesn't. Now that I know that it's supposed to be that way, and as I see it as it is now, it does work in the way that you're talking about. I thought at first it was just a byproduct of using a wide angle. You know what I mean? So I was looking to see if Lightroom would fix it, but Lightroom agrees with you guys. It's leaning.
Sean, if you look at the tree right behind the one you think is leaning, that one
No,
is
I see it.
straight.
Yep. And the one right in the, Scott's right. The one right in the middle is going up. The
Yeah.
horizon line is pretty straight. I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
If you add a little bit of contrast to that, does that make it pop just a little bit more?
Just global contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, taking those shadows down couldn't hurt. And it's sort of what you're playing with here, shadows and light. So a little
Even a
contrast.
little vignette would be nice on it. That would help, like, kind of just tone down that edge so your eyes more to the center of the picture. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, and then
You
you
could
just have to
even
be
do
careful.
you could almost even do like a white vignette because everything's so bright too, and that would give that daydream look too.
I'd caution with the white one on that
Yeah,
one.
I wouldn't use a white one on
That
this one.
lower,
Yeah.
well, not with this one, because those white, that far right corner, if you used a white one, it would bring it out too much. If you could pull you out of the image and it's supposed to be dark.
Well, that and the dark vignette really sort of highlights those lines heading in. It really does a good job of darkening the edges and
Draw
leading
you in more.
directly into those lines that are leading you into the image. And in ways, somehow, like the leaves are almost working as leading lines as well. Like it's all just sort of leading you in, to that one tree, like Asina said, that's pointing at the star.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that. It'll be in next year's calendar.
There you go.
The thing is, though, if I saw just this photo, I wouldn't know this is yours, John, because yours are always bright and
Right, I
they're,
don't- Yeah, I
It's
don't.
true.
I can sort of tell by sometimes just looking at someone's photo, that's so-and-so's. And this, if you did put it like this, that would throw me for a loop for a bit.
Yeah,
Not
no, it's true.
bad, it's just,
Which is in itself isn't bad. It's good to play with your style a little bit and see, and either it changes a little bit or you just find things you don't like,
Remember, you never dedicated to your edit. Just hit reset.
That's right. I just did.
You got an infinite amount of times to edit that thing.
No, I like that look though. That was nice with the vignette.
Yeah.
I
vignette-
don't tend to use that much at all, but it does work in certain applications.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to bring the eye into a center point like this, the vignette adds, just adds that sort of dark edge that your eyes just going to bounce off of and keep coming back in.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what does that really well. Oh, never set a timer again. Damn it, I need one.
I got it. I'll do it from now on.
Okay. Damn it, I need Monique. She's my rock. All right, anybody else have, but I hope she watches this and sees that. Like she, just how important I think she is. So that's it. John, anything else for John? I'm assuming we're coming up on 5 minutes, Jared.
Yeah, we're at 5.
Okay. All right. John, I commend you for joining us tonight and for submitting. I hope that you join us more often. Thank you for being a member all these years, even though we never saw you. So
Well, I think I
This
joined
man has
just
been
before,
paying his dues for like 2.5
Yeah.
years and he's never actually come to
Yes.
anything.
just before the COVID hit, I think is when I joined, and I
Yeah,
went to the first few meetings.
way back in
I,
the day.
I saw you at the craft fair over the weekend. I hope I pushed you into coming tonight.
Yeah, I need to participate more. I plan on submitting something next week too.
Oh, it's awesome. That's awesome.
Excellent. Awesome, John.
All right. So next up we have Lisa Shirtliff. Let's go on the close-up route.
That definitely says fall to me based on the colors and the background being so dark. I like it.
I do too. I like the idea of it for sure. I'm trying to figure out if I like the crop.
I think what we need to do is up or step down a couple stops too, mainly for the fact that it seems like if you had used slightly smaller aperture, I think you lose a little bit of detail in that mushroom right here, especially in the front portion. It looks like it's getting really soft, where it's really tack sharp here. I'd want to see the whole section in the middle tack sharp.
Yeah, and maybe that's what's throwing me off too, is that the you want the mushrooms and like this whole sort of scene here to be sharp.
I'm okay with the stump fading off. That's cool. But
Oh, right.
I think that looks really nice. I just think that that mushroom right there in the lower portion is
Right.
getting slightly soft right around the edge where I want it to be sharp.
Yeah,
Maybe F8 would have helped.
Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you in that regard. Like it's you know, this little scene here, the mushrooms, the leaf, sort of the very edge of this stump. You kind of want all of that to be sharp and then let it fall off from there. Which is at f6.3. I mean, you could have bumped it up to f8 or f11 and probably gotten the whole thing.
I'm sure I focused in on the leaf and that's it.
No, the leaf is tack
Oh yeah, the
sharp.
leaf is tack sharp. Well, it is here.
Middle kind of, but not so much maybe.
Yeah, you got the camera really close to this, didn't you?
Most likely, yeah, because I didn't crop it that much.
Yeah. So
One other thing I would consider doing, I think you can easily do too, is like you see those little like pine needle ends. I just remove those from the mushroom too, because see how it's like kind of haloing around it on the lower left one. Up a little bit, right, up a little bit, left. That thing right there. I'd remove stuff like that, and you could clone that out with something else, just because it's kind of got the halo on it.
Yeah.
Because then I think those are just kind of, they don't really need to be there, but just to clean up the mushroom, because that is your focus point. You don't want to have any distractions directly on the focus. But I think you really nailed the background, because it's a darker tone. There's still some light coming through there. Like you can see the leaves and stuff like that, but I really think that you did a good job managing the light behind the image.
I like that crop that pulls it out just a little bit more.
yeah, I felt like there was a bit of just like sort of dead weight over here.
The bottom's nice.
Yeah, the bottom works, this side works, but there was just a lot of, not a lot, but just a little bit of extra sort of unnecessary room around it.
And now it's a little bit more off center. I kind of like that too.
It just brings in the focus of, what your subject is. I think we all sort of need that reminder sometimes that what's important in the image is your subject. So cropping in tight back here, that's totally okay. You don't need all of this over here. Even under here, cropping it up a little bit, But yeah, I think getting a little bit tighter with the crop helps this a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the editing's nice. I think you do consider buying for something like this. Consider getting a circular polarizer filter. if you don't already have one.
I do have one. I
So,
doubt I had it on.
yeah, it would manage these specular highlights right here.
Yep.
Now you may like those, and that's okay. But the circular polarizer would eliminate a lot of this glare and keep the detail in this mushroom here. And
Make your
where,
colors more vibrant.
yeah, and it would pop the colors a bit as well. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, CPLs, and not everybody has them, not everybody knows how to use them. But and it would do something up, it would work up here too. So if you dealt with this highlight, it would also deal with this highlight as well. Which would at least would bring out more of the detail in the veins and stuff here. But I think it's a really nice photo, just all the same.
Mhm.
As usual, Lisa, you did a good job.
Thanks.
I like the
Yeah, I
color
think I was
highlight.
in the woods and I think that's why I didn't have the filter on.
Mhm.
Because it was dark. And that just made it darker.
Yeah, with a CPL, you're gonna lose a stop of light.
Yeah.
So. And we are already at 1000 ISO.
Even-
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I was in the woods
But
taking
you're
it.
using,
So.
you're using a 6D, right?
Huh?
Are you using a 6D?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not worried about ISO.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And that's 5.
All right. Anybody have anything else for Lisa?
Nice shot, Lisa.
Yeah, well
Thanks.
done, Lisa. All right, next up, Mr. Peter Morse. The classic fall reflection shot.
Mhm.
Where's this, Peter?
In Pittsfield. Near the bridge that goes over that river where they have the hot air balloon festival.
Dunkirk River.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
So-
What-
John, can you
Oh.
straighten the horizon just a bit?
You bet I can. I have the power. It's really not, I mean,
Yeah, it wasn't much. It just,
sharp eye there, Scott. I know, and I'm wondering too, where it's essentially a square crop.
Mhm.
If it, again, like you don't really need the sky up there. And your subject matter is the color in the trees. So you can actually, you know,
Oh, yeah.
sort of just bisect the whole thing like that.
Seeing the tops of the trees.
What's that?
Is that I liked seeing the tops of the trees. It looked more complete to me.
I kind of like.
Like, I
It's
feel
just a
if someone
shot
was
at-
standing on the shoreline, that crop would have worked. But yeah, like she said, the tree line's important because it's the whole scene's the subject.
Maybe you need the sky reflection, not the sky. The real
I
sky.
was kind of thinking like, so since you opted for a square crop, that having that horizon line be just off of the center was a little bit distracting in my opinion. So that's what I was trying to fix. You know, keep the square crop and put that horizon line right down the center.
I can make one recommendation. I would think that I would shoot this at much lower f-stop because it looks like it's really soft and we're not seeing a lot of the crisp in the trees. Yeah, f25.
Yeah, why are you at ISO 1000 on a bright sunny day? That's where all your muddiness is coming from in these trees.
Mm-hmm.
From
Yeah,
that
I think if you shot this at like f11, maybe f13, you'd still get all of the detail front to back, and it would be a much sharper, especially with the trees in the background.
ISO 1000, a 40th of a second, and f25. Yeah, so if I'm going to make one recommendation at all, and this is not even necessarily pertinent to this, and it's a reminder I think we all need, is to pay attention to your settings when you're out shooting and make sure that they make sense. Bright sunny day like this, if you recognize that you can't get higher, if you find that you're f/25 and 1/40th of a second on a bright sunny day like this, you know something's not right. Right, I think that you know almost immediately that your ISO is not where it should be. So just keep that in mind, because I think that if a bright sunny day like this, you should be somewhere near ISO 100, 200 at the most, and that's only if maybe you're trying to pull detail out of some of these shadows that I don't even think it would make any difference. And what that would do is we allow a much faster shutter speed. So I think probably you have a little bit of camera shake in here as well, which is why this isn't as sharp as you might want. And it would allow you to be at a much more favorable f-stop, f9, f11, somewhere in that ballpark. It's all sort of it's all coming from being at that high ISO, and everything is having to be compensated for that. And I've done that before. I did it when I was working for a magazine. I went to a car show that I was supposed to cover, and for whatever reason, my ISO was at like 3,500. And I could not get my settings where I wanted them to be. It took forever for me to figure it out because I was apparently fairly slow that day.
Hey, Pete, what did you, Peter, when you actually shot this photo, were you on a tripod or was it handheld?
I believe it was handheld. I was using my 70 to 300.
Okay.
Is it
I
I may have been on automatic. Those are the days when I was not confident enough to shoot with on manual or in aperture priority. So,
One thing I would say is, like, when you're actually shooting with that 70 to 300 to help, especially if you're handheld shooting, one thing I've always said, if you're millimeter length 70, your minimum shutter speed should be 70 or higher, because in that way your focal length should match what your shutter speed is a lot, mainly for the fact that it'll help reduce a lot of the blur. Because if you're hand holding this at 70, you could potentially be moving, and 1/40th of a second, you'll start to see that movement in your photo.
Yeah, I think that's what you're seeing up here too, is it's a mixture of the noise from the high ISO, so it's a little bit muddy, and probably just a little bit of camera shake. At 1/40th of a second, the shutter going up and down can introduce camera shake. It doesn't take much. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tip. Like I said, I think we all sometimes need a reminder of the basics at times. Just go back to the basics. I know I do sometimes, to remind myself, like, oh, right, yeah, you do this. Yeah, if you find you're having a hard time getting your settings where you feel like they should be, check your ISO, because odds are it's sort of out of whack at that other end of the triangle, if that makes sense.
That Bermuda Triangle, yeah.
But I like the color. The color harmony is beautiful.
Oh yeah, so the colors are beautiful. The overall composition is really, really nice. I love just the classic fall reflection. I mean, it's a beautiful image in the end.
Yeah.
There's an orange area on the left. It looks like a pumpkin. No, the other left.
Oh yeah, my left.
Yeah.
Looks like a pumpkin. A little bit to the right. A little bit to the
Right there.
Right there. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
It's the heat miser.
I like the composition, but
spirit already.
Sean, I like the composition, but what you were talking about with the shutter speed, if it was on a tripod, the difference between shooting this at a 40th of a second.
Yeah, it's at a 40th at f20.
Or a 400th of a second would be your reflection. Maybe if you want the reflection to be more blurry, then you could intentionally shoot at this.
That's true, right?
So just controlling your shutter speed like that will also make a big change in an image like this. And it's also far enough away that you could shoot this at almost f4 and it'd still be sharp.
Yeah.
Because it's all distance. There's no real depth. It's perceived depth.
Right, and the composition gives it a real two-dimensional feel to it, which is really kind of fun. Yeah, you create like this cool circle effect in here that I like a lot.
Yep.
But no, Scott's right though. If you sort of planned ahead just a little, put it on a tripod, shooting at that lower shutter speed on purpose could smooth this out a little bit further and even do more wonders for that reflection.
Wait, what? Plan ahead?
It's not always built into the I'm going out to shoot today. Yeah. So,
Thank you. I appreciate all the input. That's
Photography is
valuable to me.
photography is pretty much improvisation, or however you say that word. You go out and you never really know what you're going to get, and you have to adjust on the spot to be able to get what you want to get.
yeah, and when I say plan ahead, it really is just making sure you have the right gear with you so that you can improvise. You know, have that tripod with you in case you want to use it. Or if you're like Scott, I've gone out shooting with Scott maybe only once or twice, but the guy literally always, the camera's literally always on a tripod. I don't think I've ever seen him handhold a single photo the whole time I've known him.
Always tripod. Tripods always.
When we went to, where did we go? We went to Shaker Village and I had my
Mm-hmm.
camera on a tripod and I literally walked my tripod. Like it was like it had done something wrong. I walked it off site and was just like, you landscape guys and all your tripods. And I need the
Love
hand
us.
holding. So, all right. So I'm pretty sure I heard Jared's alarm go off. So we're going to move on. Peter, really great image. Anybody else have anything else for Peter? All right, nice work, Peter.
Thank you, guys.
All right, up next. Scott, what's this? I'm joking.
That's crap.
Scott Thorpe.
Oh, there it is.
That Stonehouse?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Stonehouse Pond. Yep.
That's a 2-image blend, one for the foreground, one for the background.
So is that a focus stack?
Yes, 2 images, I think, maybe 3.
So does everybody on the call know what a focus stacking is?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Let's pretend I don't.
Scott, do you want to go ahead and just explain what that is?
It's when you take 3 different images or however many images you want. And I choose f8 because that's the sharpest point on your lens. And you focus on the foreground, take a shot there, focus probably on the rocks on the left-hand side, take a shot there, and then the background. And then you just import them into Photoshop and you blend them together, and it takes the sharpest parts of every image so that it's basically sharp all the way through.
Right, so it's a camera trick to make sure that your depth of field is as deep as possible, essentially. Not very difficult to do, and actually to put it together in Photoshop really does the work for you these days. It's all auto blending at this point. It's pretty easy.
So are you basically just keeping the photo or the camera right where it is and just changing the focus and taking another photo?
That's correct. The camera's on a tripod, Sean.
Well, if I was doing this, it would be on a tripod.
If you can lean up against something or hold yourself still, then you can focus stack without a tripod. It's kind of tough though, because you want to make sure that everything is pretty much lined up.
Yeah,
I was asking more for like you're not moving your camera at all. You're just moving the focus.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So you can
Focused
use the
in
focus
probably
stack.
on the leaves, then the rock on the left, and then the background.
So like here, and then over here, and then just back here.
And that way there, if you zoom in on the leaves, they should be as sharp as the background.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I guess I could probably do this. So yeah, that's pretty sharp. And the background is pretty sharp. Pretty cool. maybe we'll have to do a focus stack outing someday and actually show these guys how to do it.
I'm in.
Man,
We could do that.
Like a focus stack / panorama or something. So it's the same process essentially in Photoshop. So, all right. So, what does everybody think of Scott's image? And I know Scott's famous and all, but don't hold back.
I love the colors and the way they work together. And the focus stacking or image stacking works nicely, and I need to remember to try that at some point. Maybe we could do that part of the speed learning.
Yeah, we can definitely make sure that's on the board as something somebody's covering, sure.
Mhm.
So Chris, if it's not, so I don't know if you were at the last one, there's always a board that you guys can put up your ideas and then we all take the ideas down as far as like what we think we're strong with. If you don't see it on the board, make sure you put it on the board. Because again, Monique's not here taking, actually just got a text from Monique.
I got
forgot.
it.
I would
There's an
read it, but it's
explicit word in there.
it's full of expletives.
Isn't an expletive in there? We're not going to say out loud because we're recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently Monique just flat forgot about tonight, so that's okay. But yeah, definitely this and how to blend together panoramics as well in Photoshop. It's a very similar process. So if that's something you guys want to do at speed learning, just make sure you bring it up and we'll one of us can cover it. So
I could definitely cover it.
Yeah.
Scott could too.
Personally, like one of my favorite ways to shoot is panoramic. I love doing panoramics. So I was actually thinking about maybe we can do that as a challenge next month or next year at some point.
Yeah.
So
I have a question. Is that focus stacking, is that kind of like the HDR setting on an iPhone where it takes?
no, so focus stacking has nothing to do with exposure. Basically, for something like this, you're going to set your exposure for the scene. You figure that out beforehand. Focus stacking has to do with where you're actually setting your focal points. So what Scott did was he set a focal point down here on the leaves, took a shot, and then set his focal point over here on this rock probably, or this general area. It's about a third of the way into the frame as far as distance is concerned. So that's a good spot for it. So he set a focal point there and took a second shot. And then he focused on the background way out here and took a third shot. All of them have the exact same exposures, right? So like HDR is dealing with, 3 different exposures that you then blend together, typically speaking. Whereas this has more to do with extending your depth of field.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know of any way that, and I mean, iPhones do amazing things these days. But I can't think of any way that the iPhone will be able to do exactly this. It might be able to fake it a little bit, but
I think the only way that you'd be able to do that is by using the camera inside of Lightroom Mobile, because you can manually focus in there.
and then take
then
different shots.
Yeah, well, the other thing is you really can't, like, there's no real app to like blend images together unless you're using Snapseed. I've used Snapseed, a lot, and you really can only blend like 2 images together. So I think if you knew that going into if you were shooting a scene going into it, if you knew that you could get it all in focus within 2 shots and then, blend it in Snapseed, then yeah, you could do it that way.
Would that
Honestly,
be
this
in
image-
multiple?
This
sorry.
particular image, I think you probably could get it in 2 shots, but
Yeah, I'm yeah, definitely.
but-
Jerry? Is that Jacob, would that
Yes.
be multiple exposure?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could call it a double exposure. Just that's what Snapseed calls it in the mobile version. But essentially what you're doing with this is, your f-stop is going to remain the same. Your like all your settings are going to remain the same. It's just where you're putting your focus point.
Yeah, this is something we could definitely do during the speed learning. One of us could set up our camera and show you what we taught, how we do it, and then we could just probably upload directly into the computer and show you how we would blend them really quickly. Give you guys an idea exactly how that works.
Yeah, and it's at speed learning too. I'll have like a laptop set up with an extra monitor and stuff so that you know, you guys can see, like, we can work in Lightroom and Photoshop, and you know, you guys will be able to see. So if you have questions about that stuff, definitely bring them on speed learning night.
Yep, 100%. Nice shot, Scott.
Yeah.
So, any critique for Scott, or are we just gonna?
Yeah, Sean's got to crop it or something.
I would say just get rid of that orange leaf
I mean,
back there a little bit further.
I mean, if I was gonna crop it, I would probably go something weird like 8.5 by 11, and then do like right about there. Looks good.
Yeah, there's that one red leaf that's just driving me crazy right there.
That one red leaf, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd get rid of that one. On the water. Yep, drives me nuts.
Sean, can you flip this image, please?
Yeah, I like it better with that, you know, maybe the other way.
Good, but it would be pointless since it's compositionally correct.
Isn't there a dust spot in the clouds somewhere?
Yeah.
Clean your sensor, Scott.
Scott, do you normally travel with like yellow and red leaves just to place everywhere?
I was just going to say, no, I did not place those there. Those were actually there. I did not place those.
I mean, if you wanted to, and this again, this is not necessarily critique for Scott, but if ever you did look at have a scene like this and you wanted to control the highlights on the water at all, I mean, a CPL, a circular polarizer, would do that. So I think in this image, the highlights, you know, they work really nice in this. They reflect the sky, and it adds a lot of dimension and depth into the image. But there are images like just like this where it makes more sense for the, you know, maybe you don't want all those specular highlights, and a circular polarizer would deal with that. Yeah, I'm quite sure we're way past 5 minutes on this one. So
You're closer to 10 now.
So I mean, obviously, I mean, as usual, really nice image, Scott. And it's always nice to talk about techniques that are maybe a little bit unusual. So great job. Anybody else have anything further for Scott? All right, on to Tom Sorensen. All right, those birds are magic.
They're perfect spot.
Yep.
Wow, great use of light, Tom.
Yeah,
No
it's
one's
kinda
gonna
hard.
say, do you just walk around with birds in your pocket?
He just throws his clouds in the sky. This is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot.
Now, is that just the darkness above the trees there? Is that a mountain, or is that just like?
Yeah, that's Mount Bigelow.
Yeah, you can see
Okay.
the line here.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Did you put a vignette on this on the bottom?
Yeah, it's
I put
strong.
I put a little one, but I also have a gradial on it down low. I wanted to, I don't know, it was way too bright down bottom, so I wanted to tone it down quite a bit.
I honestly would turn it up a little bit so I could see some detail, not because it looks black right now, and to me that's just, there's no detail there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would try to open the shadows and then try to tone my blacks to where I could get a good shadow color, but still be able to see the detail that's in there.
Yeah, if I turn on clipping, you can see that it's clipping here in the corners. So you're losing all of your detail in those corners.
If you look at the center here, like that with those birch trees, that's a really nice darker tone. I don't think it takes away from it. But then as you go out to the corners, yeah, exactly, that section, Sean. And then as you go to the corners.
And
it's just
right here too,
that-
this is nice. There's
Right there's
detail.
beautiful. That's beautiful detail. It's nice, darker tone. It doesn't take me away. I mean, the birds and the clouds, just the atmosphere that's there where there's the haze to kind of create that depth. This is well done.
I mean, I might even try and just like pop these out a little bit.
Pull the yellow.
I was going to say that it looks like a lot of photos that you see from out in Colorado and stuff like that. And
Yep.
a lot of those photographers out there really pop the brights in the trees when there's
Yeah.
a dark surrounding around it. It just makes the trees pop out a little bit more.
I mean, you can just do this with like one big radial filter, sort of like this, and just bring your highlights up.
So so do that. Don't even bring your so highlights will pull off from the background too. So you'd want to go to click. See where the masks are up there, Sean? Expand your nope, the other one. Click the mask.
Oh, that's why I'm not at all used to this new masking thing that's going on in here.
No, you'll go back. You had the right one before. You click the mask. Yeah, click that.
That's spot. I'm in the mask. There we go.
There, click that. So when you click it, you should be able to select you have the micro panel. Click the little up arrow, the two arrows up there. Yeah. So then you click the 3 dots, go to intersect mask with, and then hit like color range. And then you can go in and select the yellows. Got it. Yeah.
It's giving me like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, and then you can just affect the yellows. So like you can do a mask just of the yellows, and then it only affects those and nothing else in that. It's just that tonal range. So you can make those pop. So add a little bit of exposure, contrast.
Yeah, and this isn't a great mask either. So it's creating halos and stuff. You just to be a little more specific than what I just did, but
yeah. But just doing that effect.
And those birds, they caught my eye when we first opened this up. But I almost think that, I mean, when you have this like long line here, more of a panoramic crop is going to work better for this, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I had a hard time with the shot. I kind of wanted to keep the birds, but I like.
Well, I understand why.
Better,
I
something
totally
like that. Yeah.
But
do it too.
So that's a 16.
You need this. I think you need the more sky, get more atmosphere.
So if we drag this out, hold on, let's do that. Just drag it right to the edges like this. Yeah, and just sort of make that your horizon line essentially.
I think
Bring back the birds.
You can always move those birds down.
You always stamp them and put them down. Yeah.
In Photoshop, you could just select them out and move them. They don't have to be where they were.
No. I think I like the bigger scene better because I think you get more depth. I think you lost some depth when you went this direction personally.
I think the birds give a sense of scale that you don't get otherwise. I like
That's right. You
but I'm
know
a
how
bird
big
guy,
those
so
birds
that-
are. You know how big the birds are. You're not quite sure how far that mountain is away.
Right, and I think too, at some point you have to decide like, what is your subject? Are the birds the subject?
They were my
I might just
subject
get
in it
rid of
when
them.
I was shooting it.
They were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I cropped that down a little bit. There was actually more sky above them. And this was actually going to be one of my minimalist shots. And I was trying to get rid of the trees out of it, but it just didn't, the balance didn't work out well. So, but anyways, I cropped out a lot of the sky and I actually took a lot of, I think it was the right-hand side of the picture out of it. So this is cropped down quite a bit already.
I mean, even just as you submitted, I like it already. So it's nitpicky stuff that we're talking about.
Yes, that's true. I like this. This is really pretty.
One thing I would like to see is I don't want these clouds up here competing with this. So I think I would try and tone down some of the highlights up here if you could. And bring up the highlights down here. I mean, in the end, again, like I keep looking at it going, well, what's the subject here? And to me, the subject is this color, right? I mean, that's the autumn color.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow this is, it's really cool and really texturally and interesting, but the brightness of it in places is drawing my eye away from where I want to look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, Tom. I'm thinking of shepherd's pie here. You got the dark beets on the bottom, you got the corn, and you got the mashed potatoes. I'm getting hungry.
Oh man.
Great shot though. I like the birds.
That's 5.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can play around with some of the, you know, some of this kind of thing if you want to. I mean, I don't, not necessarily convinced it needs it, but yeah, really cool, Tom. Nice work.
Thank you.
Well done.
All right. Anything else for Tom? All right. Here comes Deb Boulanger, and I did notice that she has joined us late, but she's here.
Yep.
Deb messaged me or emailed me earlier and asked me if we could put this one to the end because she had to be on the Seacoast Camera Club call, but she wanted to get her critique, so we pushed it to the end for her.
Thank you.
Deb, where's this?
That's up in Acadia. That's on the Hemlock Trail right off Jessup Path.
Beautiful.
Well, those little pops of color are interesting.
And I did a little bit of an artistic feel to it. So it's a little bit softened.
Yeah, there's like a haze to it that.
Yep. Yep,
and-
I did that purposely.
And almost like an HDR effect too. Like the shadows are really, I don't want to say non-existent, but they're not very strong.
Kind of looks like the a little bit of the Orton effect in there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
And I might have done this one with an HDR bracketing. That one might have been a 3-shot bracket.
I like the softness of the whole photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes on a painterly effect.
And I love that leading line. It's gorgeous.
I'm surprised you didn't get anybody in the picture. You must have stood there for a while.
I waited for them to leave, Scott. They were actually people, there were points throughout the trip that there were people in the photo, and it's like, no, get out of my shot.
That's a tough spot to get without anybody in it.
That's why you have to bring things to throw at them. This is what we were talking about being prepared earlier.
We also
That's
went
not good.
earlier in the morning. We'd get up for sunrise, and then wherever we were, we would head right over here. We would hike down Jessup Path and go to the Hemlock Trail. So it was earlier in the day. No, actually, this one might have been later in the day, looking at the clouds. I don't know. We walked this path 5 days in a row.
Well, it was definitely worth it, Deb.
Yeah, it's my favorite spot.
That line of trees in the background, I mean, they look like they're neon. They're just, I love that. I love that pop of color in there. It's fantastic.
Thank you. When I was thinking of fall, I was thinking of the bare branches, the yellowing of the birches, and the leaves on the ground. So there's kind of like a mix in here, but I still wanted it to say fall. And of course, the fall colors, I think, help it absolutely.
It's beautiful. I like it, Deb.
Thank you. And if anybody's been down that path, you'll know that there are big roots that go across the path. And I did take those out. I
Yeah,
thought they
those would have been distracting.
Yeah, I felt that it was a distraction to the photo.
I agree. Probably would. It definitely would have been.
Mhm.
Well, we're about 5 minutes, so.
They're very nice.
Thank you.
I know, I'm just sort of taking it all in, trying to decide, like, do I have critique or not? It's a good sign.
That's one of the spots at Acadia. It doesn't matter what time of year you go. If you go in winter, you're going to have the white on white. If you go in the springtime, it really doesn't matter when you go there. That's one of the first places I stop every time I go.
Yeah, I do have one that we took in June that I have actually framed it on my wall, and it's just beautiful with the greens and the path. It just, I can't get enough of this place.
Yeah, really nice, Deb. Nice work.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for Deb? All right, great job, Deb. We are on to the last one, Miss Asina Navarro. She went all artsy fartsy on this here.
Mm-hmm. How did you get it to be white? That's what I'm curious. How'd you do this?
I lightened it as much as I could get it to be light, and I saved it. And then I took that saved image and I lightened it up again.
Oh my gosh. It's really cool how you can just see the veins of the leaf, and but you could still see the outline of the leaf too.
That would be a great minimalism photo.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was pushing for, because I'm still working on trying to get that image. So where I just found out last week about the challenge for this week, I'm like, well, I've kind of missed fall because there's no colors, and so what can I do? So I just figured I'd kind of just go on working with my minimalism and just try what I could. So
Hey, Sean, can you just spin that around the spectrum? You know, just turn it, turn it, turn it. No, like do the
horizontals and
no, not
yeah,
not
yeah.
that. Just rotate the whole image. Sorry. I like it being off center like it was, but just rotate the image, and then just I do that sometimes with something like that. I'll turn it.
I mean, just like this?
So that it goes all the way. Yeah, and then do it the other way. There you go. Just sometimes that sparks something different. Yeah, I guess I like it the original.
Yeah, I would say the second, if you flip it all 180 degrees, I feel like there's a lot more tension with that image.
I was thinking the
I don't
same
know if I
thing with
like
the,
it. Dark on top,
yeah,
like it's so much
Like
tension
that.
there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that way, but there's a lot of tension with it because the shadow seems like this shadow around the leaf here. It's weird. I like it the first way best.
Yeah, me too. It almost feels like it's pulling towards you because there's that not quite straight line, but the line down the middle coming
The shadow
directly
is more
towards the
natural
viewer. It
here.
sort of pulls you in a little more. And I realized this was for the fall challenge, but with how much it's lightened, it almost looks like it's covered in ice. It looks very winter to me, along with minimalist.
I feel like the top half of the picture is almost too light. I love where you were going with it.
maybe crop it down just a little bit from the top down.
Maybe.
Yeah, you can sort of just bring in a gradient filter as well to kind of match the tonal range. Oops.
That's not as hot as it was. I like that. That's me.
What time of day and where'd you take this picture?
I have no, I don't know what time of day I took it because it was a still life. It was in my
Mhm.
house. It's on a white background.
On a white background? Okay, that's why I
Yeah.
was curious if you had to do anything with the background. I think this one you probably could have, I would have definitely turned your ISO down. 'Cause I think that's gonna create some of what you're gonna get for the noise effect too.
Mhm.
But no,
But
I
then
think
the
it's
habit too of
interesting.
just pushing the brightness like that, that might generate some noise as well.
But I find it very interesting. I like it, and it's like, I don't. It's
The ISO is at 7,200.
100. Because I can still make it the detail of the rest of the leaf. I can see where the stem of the leaf goes up into the top of the image. I can still see some of the shadowing in the background. Tone out some of the hot spots in the front of the leaf here, like right in the tip and in the front tip, and then the left right hand side. I might just tone those down slightly.
Well, like in here.
Yeah, there, and then the front right there. I might just focus on those areas with a brush tool just to bring it down slightly.
Just to even the tones out, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
It's an interesting concept. I like it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very different.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have a minimalism image here if you wanted to use it for next week.
Mhm.
Okay, good. That's kind of what I was hoping to get a little bit of information on, and
Mhm.
so I've been.
So I
This is
agree though,
okay.
I don't know who said it, but I think you did have too much up here initially. So like
Yeah.
if we were to reset it. So like it's brighter up here than it is anywhere else. So that's your eye typically almost always goes to the brightest part of the image. And you just have a lot of empty space, which it's minimalism, so that's okay. Real easy to kind of fix that. You can, especially where you might need to go out and buy a frame, you can use a 8x10 crop,
Mhm.
and that's gonna sort of fix that all by itself. And if it's still too hot up here, you can just do what's called a gradient filter, or I mean a linear gradient here.
Yep.
And you just sort of drag it down to, as far as you want it to actually affect. And then I would just use the exposure and just drag it down until it sort of evens itself out a little bit. But now now this is the brightest part of the image down here, which is where you want your eye to go anyways. So just by bringing it down, not even a half a stop, just a third of a stop was enough.
Now, when I was working on this, my original image, you could see more of the stem that did shoot out towards the back, which is why it was the size that it was. So in lightening it, it has kind of made that stem disappear. I was kind of hoping to still have it in there, but with it gone, I like the image as it is as well. Would that make it more, or, I mean, if I had a stem showing in there to put in like the whole leaf, would it be still minimalism, or is it better to not have it just as far as this image goes here, or should I tweak it more?
I mean, I think it's still minimalism. I also don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
Put it that way.
I mean, you can still see almost the shadowing effect of that stem there. It's still there. I don't know if you want to have it too much more detail, because then I'm thinking you're taking away from where you're trying to actually focus, like Sean was saying, which is that front portion of the leaf.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you used what, f1.8. So yeah, you have such a shallow depth of field here that whatever was back here would have been pretty blurry and unrecognizable anyways. So by losing it, you're not affecting anything, because it really wasn't part of the image to begin with.
Okay.
I kind of like the hint of it. I'd like just a hint more. I have the opposite thought on it. It doesn't need much, but I kind of like the idea of the stem.
Okay.
So that doesn't help you any.
everyone has different opinions too. That's what's fun. That's what's fun about this.
Yeah,
I
I like this. I
That's-
like getting those different ideas, because then it helps you on your next image. It might not help this image, but it might help the next one.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
think
why
it's
it's always an
really-
open discussion when we do these. So, as many ideas as possible.
I do
think
see
it's
some
more
of the, I'm sorry, I do
No.
see some of the stem very, very lightly.
Hmm.
I'm wondering if that were any more visible, if that would create a center line or a slightly off center line if you added it back in. If you added some more of the stem in, I would think maybe turning the leaf itself a little bit might help prevent that. But I don't know.
Turning,
And
turning.
I
The,
have-
what do you mean turning? You mean like straightening it out or something, or when you say turning the leaf?
right now, the leaf is the middle vein there
Mhm.
is almost straight up and down, almost.
Right.
So if the stem were showing, it would continue that, and then you would have symmetry that you don't necessarily want. Do you?
No, not in this one. I was looking more for a little bit more unbalanced. I felt like it had symmetry. I feel like the leaves have symmetry on their own, but for some, like this one just needed to be a little bit off balance, and I wasn't totally happy with it being completely even on both sides.
Oh, good. I like that too. I had another question for you. What kind of paper are you going to print that on?
I have no idea. I was kind of thinking like a matte. I don't think a gloss would do it would give it any benefit.
Where are you going to go to get it printed? You're gonna go to like Photosmith?
Yes.
Okay. I would recommend something like a watercolor paper.
Okay.
Some sort of fine art paper with some texture, I think would be really nice with this.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So, and you're right about the matte, but the fine art papers are matte in nature anyways. But they have
Yep.
just, you can pick out the texture in the paper from its manufacturing. They're made that way, and they can be so nice. They're typically thicker as well. So, yeah, I find something like this, a little texture in the paper, it would be really nice.
Okay, I'll see what they have, and I'll take a look at that. Thanks for that advice.
Yeah. I mean, and get it done, get it done both ways. I mean, what does an 8x10 print actually cost you? $4 or $5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get it done in matte like you were thinking. And then also, I mean, the watercolor paper will be a little bit more expensive typically. It's just more expensive paper.
Yeah, because I have matte and glossy photo paper here for my own printer. So I was gonna just print both just to see what would happen anyway, just before I pay somebody else to do it. I just want to see what it would look like. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the matte. At the very least, I agree with you on that. So,
well, thank you, everybody. That was really helpful advice.
yeah, I mean, really cool idea. I always, as usual, Sina, I applaud you for just pushing things a little bit outside of the norm.
Hey, that's what I do.
Creative.
No, we need people like who do that. So, people who remember that this is an art form. It's not just pushing a button, right? So,
Right.
All right. Anything else for Asina?
Lovely.
Yeah,
I
really
like
cool.
it.
Thank you.
So, all right, I'm going
Very
to.
unique. I wouldn't have thought of a white one for, you wouldn't think of that as autumn.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely outside of the norm. It's really cool. So that's it. That's our last critique meeting of 2021. Our last Tuesday critique, because Deb, did I tell you that we're switching to Wednesday? Were you there last week?
You did, and I'm so excited because we'll prevent all of this Tuesday night stuff from jumping in late.
Yeah.
Yay.
And now we can sell each other's clubs to each other's clubs.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because I know that I've been meaning to come down to the Seacoast. I've only ever made it to one meeting, and it was many years ago. So I've been meaning to come down and see what you guys are up to. So yeah, now there's at least a possibility I'll be able to do that. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for tonight. The next thing, like I said, on the schedule is a week from tonight is drop off at RPAC. Anytime after 5. Like I said, try and get something in by 8 o'clock if you can. But Jared, Jacob, and I will be there hanging. We're not going to leave until the show is on the walls. So hopefully it's not much later than 8, but it is what it is.
Can I ask one quick question before we go?
Yeah.
It's the photographer's shame here in the Hall of Shame.
Uh-oh.
So I trashed my camera on Friday. It's going to Nikon, so I'll be lucky to get it back in 8 weeks. It's bad. I'm sure some of you have already, Lisa Shortliff, I know you've done that. What do you guys do in those 8 weeks?
No, I
Is
haven't.
rented? And if you do, where?
What was the question again?
So I'm sure I'm not the only one who's trashed a camera. What do you guys do? Do you rent a camera, or if you do rent it, where do you rent it from?
So I've used not for cameras, but for lenses, I've used Lens Rentals, and I know that they have camera bodies as well.
Lens Rental, yeah.
So it's lensrentals.com.
I know Hans rents stuff too. I don't have any
Hans
idea.
has rentals as well.
But you got to go to Melrose to pick it
Right.
up. When I
That-
brought the
yeah,
camera in on Friday, he doesn't have anything going to Manchester. And I think they're a little bit more pricier.
So yeah, there's Lens Rentals, and I've used Borrow Lenses in the past as well.
Okay.
They're both good, and they just FedEx it to you. You pay all the shipping up front, so you get like a return mailing address, return mailing label. So everything's paid for. By the time it gets to you, you use it for however many days you rent it for, pack it all back up, and send it back, and it's a easy peasy. Just remember that you do have to sign for it. So wherever you're having it shipped to, make sure you'll be around to sign for it.
I work from home, so it's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
And I know I can't do it for 8 weeks, but it's Christmas season. I love the Christmas lights, and I feel like a piece of me just got ripped away.
yeah. What happened? Did you drop it?
I was on my bed. I was getting ready for the moonrise shot, and my cat got into my camera bag, and I apparently put it at the end of my bed. And when I went to grab the bag and pull him, it toppled onto my wood floor, and it broke in 3 places.
Yeah.
I did it good. He told me, he's like, you've got major damage here.
Yeah.
So thank God for insurance. So if anybody has not insured their gear, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, insurance is huge. The other thing too, Deb, I don't know if you qualify or not, but look into Nikon Professional Services
Okay.
for future an occurrence like this in the future. If you are a member of NPS, they would lend you something while it was getting, like if you're a working professional.
Mm-hmm.
Nikon recognizes that you can't be a working professional if your gear is broken. So I've actually had to send in one of my D500s, and they sent me one to borrow free of charge while they fixed it. So look into, you have to own a certain amount of gear, and you have to prove that you're in business as well. So just take a look at it. Just go to Nikon Professional Services and see if you qualify, because it's free. The most basic level of it is free, and then you can pay for additional levels. But I've had to send my D500 in because the shutter decided at 170,000 clicks that it didn't like me anymore.
Oh.
So, and I had to replace the shutter, which only took a couple of weeks in the end. But in the meantime, I had an event to cover, and so they sent me a D500 to borrow.
Wow. No, he said we're probably looking on the longer end. So
Yeah, it depends on what the issue is. I guess replacing a shutter is not a huge thing.
Just say it cracked at 3 places.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, well, thank you guys. It gave me some ideas. I'm trying to figure out if a rental is covered under my insurance too.
Yeah, that's the
But
thing is that
not-
rentals are not cheap either in the long run.
No.
The sort of the downside of the places I recommend is the FedEx shipping. It can get kind of
Expensive.
like $40 worth of shipping sometimes. So,
Wow.
so
I just wanted for a couple of weeks just to get through the Christmas light season. I had a plan, a list of things to do.
you'll be you stopping by next Tuesday? You dropping something off?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know how it turns out. If I mean, I may have something you can borrow if push comes to shove.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys. This was fun. Looking forward to Wednesday nights.
Yeah, yeah. So
Excellent.
the dates are all set. Deb, since you weren't, I don't know if I went over the dates at the meeting last week, but then first Wednesday, is January 12th.
Yep.
And that's going to be speed learning. And then I just booked it today, but February 9th, which is the next Tuesday in February, Mark Bolton is
Wednesday.
coming in to talk about the New Hampshire Now project.
Okay.
And so he's going to be doing a full presentation on what that project was about, and he'll have books. You must be aware of what you've been following New Hampshire Now, right, Deb?
Yep. Actually, we were just talking about it in the last meeting.
Yeah. So Pat Corlin is someone who participated in that. You have Mark Bolton, who's a Rochester native, so he's going to come in and talk to us about it. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see, like, if you haven't ever taken on a big photo project like that, it's one of the best ways to expand your skills. So
Yeah, we actually have a few members in Seacoast who are part of.
yeah, Ian Raymond was part of it, right? I don't remember who else, but yeah, it's exciting. Mark's a good guy. He's a great presenter as well. So I'm looking forward to having him. And if you guys aren't familiar with Mark, look him up. I'll get the event up, or I'll make a scene and do it, one or the other. Scene 11.
She'll watch that part.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's it. So I'll see you guys a week from tonight, anytime after 5. And yeah, and then the opening is a week from Sunday.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
See
everybody.
you later.
See ya. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thank you.